Welcome, hackers. Today we're going to take a look at some of the monsters in the 2024 Player's Handbook. In the back, they have a lot of beasts for players to wild shape into or for polymorph. And we're going to compare some of those to the 2014 versions. The monster manual itself is a long way off still, so we're going to just compare a few beasts. One thing that I think we've all noticed from watching some videos and perusing through the new Player's Handbook is that the characters are much more powerful. So for the challenge rating system to still be functional, I would expect that the monsters would also be more powerful. If not, then the CR rating is even more off than it has been for the last 10 years, which is quite a bit. So let's take a look at how the monsters stack up. First, we're going to look at the wolf. The wolf is a CR 1/4 beast. On top, we have the new one, and on the bottom, we have the old version of the wolf. So we can see that the armor class on the new wolf is lower, while the hit points stay the same. So this, right away, is making the new wolf a little bit weaker than the old wolf. We can see that the new wolf has a slightly higher strength, but I don't know that that's going to factor into very much. A little bit better perception on the new wolf than the old wolf. But if we go look at these senses, the old wolf had keen hearing and smell, which gives it advantage on its perception checks, whereas the new wolf does not have that. So I think giving the extra +2 on perception was to offset that, so that feels kind of like a wash. The new wolf, however, does have dark vision, whereas the old wolf did not. That feels like an oversight previously, so that's a point in favor of the new wolf. They both have pack tactics, so a pack of wolves would all have advantage on their attacks. And then we get to the actual attack itself, the bite. Both wolves are +4 to hit. However, the new wolf only does an average of 5 damage, whereas the old wolf did an average of 7. So here's another example of the old wolf being more powerful than the new wolf. Now, one difference in the bite is that players need to make a saving throw against the old wolf to avoid being knocked prone, whereas they are automatically knocked prone with the new wolf. So that helps the new wolf a little bit. However, all that's going to do is give other wolves or other allies of the wolves advantage on their attacks. But if it's just a pack of wolves, they already have advantage on their attacks due to pack tactics. So this could be a completely useless change depending on the allies that the wolves have. Now, if the wolves are mixed in with some other creatures that would benefit from advantage, then this could be a big buff. Overall, I wouldn't say that this is a more powerful wolf than the old wolf. It does a little bit less damage and will get hit a little more often. However, occasionally could benefit from having the prone condition on the characters with every attack. Certainly not more powerful than the old version. Next, we're going to take a look at the brown bear. The brown bear is a challenge rating 1. Again, the new version is on top and the old version on the bottom. The brown bear has an armor class of 11 for both of them. However, the new brown bear has 50% less hit points than the old version of the brown bear, giving it far less survivability in a fight. They've lowered its strength, but upped its dex a little bit. And just like the wolf, they've given the new version dark vision up to 60 feet. However, they have also taken away the old version's keen smell to give it advantage on wisdom perception checks. But this time, they didn't increase the perception of the new version to compensate. So let's take a look at the brown bear's attacks. The brown bear in both iterations can make 1 bite and 1 claw attack with its multi-attack. The new version is only +5 to hit versus the +6 of the old one, and the new one only does 7 damage as opposed to 8 from the old version as well on the bite. On the claw, it also lost a point of attack roll and lost half of its damage from the claw. However, again, the new version will knock an opponent prone. So the new version has far less survivability than the old version and does far less damage. However, it does have the prone condition. Now, unlike wolves, brown bears don't have pack tactics, so this could be a big advantage for the brown bear. at least much bigger than it was for the wolf. But even with advantage allowing the brown bear to hit more often, it does so much less damage with its attacks that I don't know that this would overcome the differences. I feel like the brown bear is less survivable and will overall do less damage than it would in the 2014 version. This feels like another downgrade to me. Next, we're going to take a look at the elephant. The elephant is a challenge rating 4. They both have the same armor class and hit points as before. The stats are all in line, as is perception. And the previous version of the elephant from 2014 has the trampling charge. If the elephant moves at least 20 feet straight towards a creature and then hits it with a gore attack on the same turn, the target must succeed on a DC 12 strength saving throw or be knocked prone. If the target is prone, the elephant can make one stomp attack as its bonus action. So if it charges, it can do its gore attack and then get a stomp as a bonus action. In the new version, the elephant makes 2 gore attacks. Now, if we look at the gore attacks, we can see that they're both +8 to hit. However, the new version does less damage than the old version does. So again, less damage on the attack. However, they have built into the gore action, if the elephant moves at least 20 feet straight forward towards the target immediately before the hit, the target also has the prone condition. So while it's worded a little bit different, it essentially has the same effect of being able to knock an opponent prone. However, the new version does not require a saving throw. It just happens if they hit with the attack roll. Bonus action, trample on the new version. Dexterity saving throw, one creature within 5 feet that has the prone condition. Failure is 17 points of bludgeoning damage. Success, save for half. So if the new version does knock the target prone, it's going to take 17 points of damage with a bonus action, or half as much if they succeed on a saving throw. But if they knock the opponent prone, then it's a guaranteed amount of damage. So let's take a look at what a round would look like in 2014. Let's suppose that they get the trampling charge and that they succeed in knocking the opponent prone. It then gets to make a gore attack and a stomp attack, totaling 41 points of damage on average. In the new version, it gets to make 2 gore attacks and a stomp. The 2 gore attacks will be for 15 each for 30, and the stomp would be for 17 points of damage, which would take us to 47, a little bit more on average. However, if it makes its saving throw, then it would be about in line with the previous version. However, the 2014 version has to hit twice, whereas to get the same amount of damage, the 2024 version has to hit 2 times and the opponent has to make a saving throw. Overall, I think the damage on this one evens out pretty well, and the rest of the stats are all in line. So I think that this is probably a wash overall. However, the mechanics have changed a little. Now, like I said, we only have beasts in the back of the player's handbook to use for comparison at this point because the monster manual is a long way off. However, at one point, the green dragon was leaked. So we know what the old green dragon looks like, and we know what the new green dragon looks like. So let's go ahead and take a look at those and compare them. Here we can see the 2014 version of the ancient green dragon. Armor class is 21, hit points 385, 40 foot of movement, 80 foot of flight. Damage immunities, poison. Condition immunities, poisoned. Blind sight 60 foot, dark vision 120. And here we have the new version. Sorry that this is a little blurry. I had to enlarge an image so that we could see it. Also 21 armor class, a few more hit points at 402, fly speed of 80, regular speed of 40. It's immune to poison and the poison condition, dark vision 120, blind sight 60. That's all pretty much the same. The new version is amphibious, has legendary resistance 4 times a day or 5 if in the lair, and is battle ready, always having advantage on initiative rolls. The old version also was amphibious and had legendary resistance, but a few less. It only has 3 legendary resistance. That's 1 less outside of the lair and 2 less if within the lair. But it also does not have advantage on its initiative rolls. So that is a couple points in favor of the new version. Let's take a look at the attacks that they can do. The old version, the dragon could use its frightful presence and then make 3 attacks, 1 with its bite and 2 with its claws. So assuming that it hits with all 3, its bite is going to do 29 points of damage, and each claw will do 22 points of damage. So that's 3 attacks with an average of 73 points of damage. Now the 2024 version of the Ancient Green Dragon makes 3 rend attacks, and it can replace one of these attacks with the use of one of its spells, but only one of its at-will spells. This makes calculating the damage a little bit more difficult. First, you'll notice it no longer has a frightful presence. I don't know about you, but dragons are scary, and I really wish they would have kept the frightful presence ability around. However, as far as attacks go, it makes 3 rend attacks. The bite attack is gone, which also seems weird to me, but mechanically, they both get 3 attacks. So if it attacks with just its rend, it'll do 27 points of damage between the piercing and the poison damage on a rend. It'll do that 3 times, and 27 times 3 is 81 points of damage. This is slightly more than the 2014 version of the Ancient Green Dragon. That's another point in favor of the new one. Now, one thing that is different is that the new version of the Ancient Green Dragon can replace one of those 2 attacks with one of its at-will skills. It has Charm Monster, Detect Magic, and Dissonant Whispers. Now, in the course of a battle, Charm Monster is probably not super useful because none of the player characters are monsters. Detect Magic might be useful, but I think when we're going to be calculating damage, we're probably going to be looking at the Dissonant Whispers. Now, Dissonant Whispers at level 4 allows for a saving throw and would do an average of 21 damage on a failed save, which is less than the rend attack, and only 10 to 11 points of damage on a successful save by the player. The one thing that it does that's different is that it forces the player to use their reaction to run away. So this kind of replaces the fear effect of the Frightful Presence, except that it's only single target. In the previous version, the Frightful Presence might be able to force more than one party member to be frightened and not be able to deal with the dragon. So while the new version of the Ancient Green Dragon has the potential to do a little bit more damage, it does lose its Frightful Presence in the process. And if you try to use Dissonant Whispers to simulate the frightened condition from the Frightful Presence, you lose even more damage, keeping them more in line. This, I guess, is maybe a wash. A little more damage with one, but Frightful Presence with the other. I wouldn't really count this one as an advantage for either of them. Now, the new version of the Ancient Green Dragon does have some other spells that it can use a couple times a day. One of them is Cloud Kill, and this one can do a lot of damage. However, not as much as just using the breath weapon. So that might be something to use if the breath weapon doesn't recharge, but probably still would be better to just do the regular attacks. It can also modify memory and polymorph, both of which are very powerful spells. However, I'm not sure what an Ancient Green Dragon would want to polymorph into that would be very useful, other than maybe just getting some temporary hit points from the spell to survive a little bit longer maybe. Or polymorphing into something for non-combat reasons, to sneak around or something like that, which would be right up a Green Dragon's alley. Now, the old version didn't have any spellcasting abilities built into it specifically. However, there are rules within the books to add spellcasting to the different dragons. I also made a video on how I would alter dragons in order to make them more interesting and more magical, and I'll put a link to that in a tab right up above me. As far as the breath weapon itself, one of the iconic abilities of a dragon, you can see that that is pretty much the same between the two different editions. 90-foot cone, 22 DC Constitution saving throw for 77 points of average damage, which is the same as for the new version. The next big difference is in the reactions. The dragon can take up to 3 reactions per round, but only 1 per turn. In the 2014 version of the dragon, these were called legendary actions, but essentially functioned the same. 1, they could make a detect, which is just a perception check. 2, they could make a tail attack in the 2014 version. Or 3, they can make a wing attack, hitting multiple people and then being able to move half its speed. The new version allows it to charm somebody, attack them with its claw, or use a corrosive miasma whenever it's hit with a ranged attack or uses its legendary resistance. It can do an area of effect attack around it, doing damage to anybody that fails their save and lowering their armor class. So they both have a single target attack that they can do, though the new version does a little bit more. And they both have an area of effect reaction that they can do, although the old version used 2 of your 3 actions, meaning that you would only get to do one other thing. But the old one had a perception check, whereas the new one has an ability to cast Charm Monster on an opponent as a reaction. And that's pretty powerful. Overall, in this front, I'm going to say that the reactions that the 2024 version has are more powerful than the legendary resistance that the 2014 version had. I think the spell casting of the 2024 version, along with its better reactions, means that the 2024 version of the Ancient Green Dragon is more powerful than the old version was. So what does this mean as far as the overall differences between the two versions? We started off wondering if, because the new characters are going to be more powerful than the old characters and be able to do more damage, we started off thinking, well, I hope that the monsters will be more powerful as well to compensate, or else we're going to totally screw up the CR system even worse than it is. While the beasts themselves seemed like overall they were less powerful in the new version than they were in 2014, the Green Dragon feels more powerful than it was in the previous version. The Green Dragon being more powerful gives me hope that perhaps the monsters overall are going to be more powerful, and we'll just have to wait and see for other monsters within the monster manual. However, we have a long way to go until that comes out. It'll be real interesting to see just exactly how that all shakes out. If you've stuck around this long in the video, I really appreciate you watching it. Please give me a like and subscribe so that you'll see when I have more videos come out. And until next time, keep on hacking the dungeon.